everybody, and welcome back. This is Lynn, and this is the Sunshine and Bubblegum Podcast. I'm coming to you from right outside New Orleans, Louisiana. This is a knitting, sewing, crocheting, and crafty podcast, and welcome to all of you, returning and new viewers. I appreciate everyone being here. Today is February 2nd. We are officially into February already. This year is flying by a little faster than I had hoped, and I'm starting to feel some pressure on some commission pieces that I've been working on that are driving me crazy, and I will share those with you in this episode. I have lots of fun sock chatter information from the link or thread I opened in the Ravelry group last week on how you knit your socks, because I'm in a sock I don't know if it's a rut, but I'm trying to find the perfect sock for me, and I'm feeling a little frustrated. So I've gotten some great information, and I want to share that with all of you. And I also have a winner to announce from that group. And I have half a hoe. Yay! So let's get started with what I am working on now, and then we will get into winners and socks and all that goodness. So my little half finished object is a little tiny sock. This is the sock for my son. I used as a size gauge Susan B. Anderson's ribbed socks for kids. It was a free pattern on Ravelry. This is leftover yarn from the pair of socks I made my mom, and this is Plymouth Diversity, and it is an acrylic polyester blend. It is really, really stretchy, and it kind of gives me the the feel of like a store-bought sock. I bought this because my mom has a wool allergy. She's been loving her socks, and these fit Sean great. They do have a lot of negative ease, which is what I'm on the hunt for, and I think it has a lot to do with the yarn. It's a little bit plumper than a fingering, and so it's a little tighter, it's a little snugger, and the fabric itself just has a lot of stretch to it, and I give that all credit to the yarn. So I did, this is my first toe-up sock. I did 12 stitches on the toe, and then increased to 48, and I just knit stockinette, put in a fish lips kiss heel, the tiniest fish lips kiss heel ever. And then I just did 2x2 rib on the cuff until I was almost out. Where did I put my little? I have a little tiny. Look at the tiniest leftovers. So there's one. I actually didn't realize it, but there is one more full repeat of the blue, this medium chunk blue, and then it starts into the light again. But I wanted to just stop with the light. I'm gonna try and match these. I think I can match these on the second sock. So there it is. My son's foot is a size 11. I don't know if it's children or toddlers, but we're not quite into the real adult size shoes yet. We're still on. I think it goes up to 13 and then starts again at 1 for regular grown-up sizes. So we're in 11s. So that's done, and I'm very excited. I need to cast on the other one this week so I can finish the second sock. He would like to wear them. He was very happy about this. He told me it was his fancy sock and was excited to try it on, and then said, but Mommy, I need 2. So, Mommy, let's do the second one. So that is, I also used size 1.5 US needles on these, and I did the cast off on the edge is the stretchy cast off from Very Pink Knits on YouTube, and that's something you can just look up on YouTube. I like it. It does have just the tiniest bit of a flare, but it's not too bad on these. It seemed a little bit more noticeable on the leg warmers that I showed you last time. I think I do want to try, I think it's Jenny's super stretchy bind off, or Judy's. There's 2 lovely ladies that have some great tutorials, and I don't want to mix them up. I think I might try that on my next different project, but for right now, this works great. and very stretchy. So that is my half finished object. And that's all I have for knitting this week. I haven't been knitting a lot. I've been crocheting a lot. And I have been crocheting and ripping out a lot. So, I finished the dress. I believe I showed that to you last time. The finished dress. That is a gift, will be a gift from my neighbor's granddaughter that's on the way. So I started working on the sweater that goes with the set, and this is the Lilac. Hold on, I have a whole bunch of notes today because I don't want to forget things and people I wanted to tell you about. The, I'm sorry, I have it written down, I promise. The Lilac Baby Set from Andree Tunde, and this was a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. On the Ravelry page, it said it was fingering, and that's what I wanted, and when I purchased it, it was actually written for DK. So I've had to adjust the pattern to fit the gauge, and I had some trouble. I've ripped back the dress a couple times, and now I started the sweater, and following a sweater pattern that I already own, size-wise, I was measuring to do the sweater, and also I used just like a little, I have some onesies from when the boys were little, newborn size, to make sure I was going the right direction. And I was, and it's super cute, and I finished the ruffle on the bottom, and it's going to be outlined in pink, and then I started the sleeves, and the armhole is huge, and it's just way too big. I had to, the skirt was done on an eye hook, size I, and the sleeves are supposed to be done also, and it was coming out so big that I dropped down to the F hook, which I did the top of the coat in the F size, and it was still too big, so I started decreasing under the sleeves, and let me turn it around, just so you can see a little better, and I'm not, I know it's white on white with a white background. I'm just not excited about this, and I had to put it down and set it aside because she would like the long sleeves on it. I actually kind of like the look of the short sleeve myself, and if it was just a short sleeve, I think it would be fine, but my neighbor would like the long sleeves. I don't want to have to go rip out, because I will have to rip out all of this down here and bring it back up to adjust the armholes. I think that's what I'm going to have to do, because sometimes, well, a lot of times I think I am a bit of a perfectionist, especially when I'm making something for somebody else and they are paying me for it. I want to make sure it's perfect, and I want to make sure it's what they want. And when I'm not happy, I just need to rip it back out, and the only way to adjust those sleeves are going to be to take it back up and drop some, not increase on the sleeves a little. So this is in timeout for the moment, but this is due at the end of February, so I had to start on some of the other pieces. I still do have a hat and a pair of little booties that will be going with this, but since I'm working with the white yarn that I'll make those out of, I had to wait on that. But I started on the blanket, and the blanket we decided on will be all white with the pink trim and like pink shells on the outside in the pale pink that we've been using. So I started some gauge swatches because I wasn't liking what I was coming up with. I actually went right ahead and cast on all 108 stitches or whatever I needed, and started working it, and I didn't like it. I started with the arcade stitch, and I posted that on Instagram. Beautiful stitch, beautiful stitch definition, gorgeous open shells, and I think with a cotton yarn that would the design would really pop. But it was coming out very heavy for a baby blanket because you use 7 double crochets in each fan or shell, and it was just, in my hands, it was already too heavy, and I knew as a whole blanket, it was going to be too much for a little baby. So I decided to go with a shell pattern that is shells which are stacked on top of each other. And again, I apologize for the white yarn because it's a little hard to see. So I was trying to different sizes to find my gauge and what I liked. I had started with I hook. I didn't like that, so I went up to a J. This is in the J. And I liked it a little better, but then I actually went down to an H. And this is a little tighter. And I don't know. Let's see if I can hold it together. You can see a little bit of the gauge difference. But the pattern was still getting lost for me, especially in the white yarn, and I wasn't really loving it. I really wanted to make this blanket pop and have some kind of really pretty interest to it. So I was hunting on my Pinterest because I have hundreds of baby blankets and pattern stitches and stuff saved on there for crochet. And I found this one. So I started a little swatch. This is called, this is called the Cozy Clusters Baby Blanket. And it is just a repeat of the cluster stitch. And it is from lilyknits.com. I'm sorry to keep looking, but I got all my notes. My mom brain is today, like this week. It's been horrible. Monday I had to go to the bank and to the post office. And I got to the post office and I was missing 2 of the things that I was mailing out. So I was like, that's it. I'll go after I pick the kids up. And I ran to the bank. Got to the bank, had the wrong checkbook. So I couldn't even do the banking that I needed to do. And the whole week has been like that, culminating with yesterday. I got halfway to bringing my kids to school and Sean says, Mommy, where are your glasses? I use my glasses for when I'm driving. That's the cat climbing through the blinds right now. I need them for reading far away, not necessarily for driving, but I made it all the way to their school without my glasses on. And I take them off for podcasting because of the glare. I don't really need them for close-up, but I just wear them so much now, it's second nature. But yes, this has been my week. So, and I already forgot what I was talking about. Oh, my notes. I have my notes because my brain is fried. So, anyway, I was really liking this. It is a cluster of 4 double crochets, and you do what's called the cluster stitch, and it groups them all together, almost like a tulip bud. And I think I actually used this for a baby blanket I showed. I don't remember what episode, but it was one of my earlier episodes on a baby blanket I made for my mom to give as a gift. And I used this stitch as with pink and green and made actual a tulip border. So I've done that stitch before. I really do enjoy it and I like the look of it. And I have started the first row. Well, not the first row. This is actually 3 rows. But here is the beginning of the pattern. So it's going to be a 3x3 blanket. I'm really liking it, and I'm going to do a couple rows and show it to my neighbor. I think she will also like it. Again, it's still, like with the cluster, it makes it a little thicker, but it's not as heavy and as dense. It still has some give to it, so it's kind of big. But I'm enjoying that right now, so I'm going to be working a bit more on this blanket, and words are failing me. I'm going to be working more on this blanket right now until I can decide what I'm going to actually do with that sweater. I think I'm just going to end up ripping it out and fixing the arms because otherwise it's gonna drive me nuts and I won't be happy with it. So crochet, crochet, crochet. So I have a question that came up about crochet. I posted a little video on Instagram and asking if anyone had any crochet questions because I've been doing a lot of crochet and I have a lot of crochet coming up. I have another one of my sisters is expecting and she has asked me for a blanket, so there will be another baby blanket coming. there. My husband's cousin has a baby granddaughter who is going to be turning 2, and she's asked me to make a mermaid's tail Afghan. So it's going to be a little crochet heavy for the next few months on my end, so you'll get to see some more crochet projects, which I hope that's okay. It seems a lot of people are into the crochet right now, and if I can help in any way, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. I have on my Ravelry page, the Ravelry group, Sunshine and Bubblegum, there is a introductions thread if you'd like to pop in there and say hello, but there's also a Ask Me Anything thread, and you could ask it here, on there, or on my Instagram, and I'd be happy to try and help when I can. I want to talk about the questions that I got this week, but I need to go get a hat that I finished, so hold on one second, I'll be right back. And I sent the hat to school with my son. So I will try and pop in a little video either right after this segment, or maybe I'll pause when I'm done talking about crochet so I can pop that in, or it'll be at the very end. But I will try and show you exactly what I'm talking about. But the question was actually asked by my sister. She's crocheting a bit more herself, and she started working on some hats. And her question was that when you're working hats and not in the round, but you do a round and then you attach your stitch and then you chain and do the next round. So you're not just continuously in the round, but you're building row by row. How do you work the stitches so you don't end up having a bump? And the way that I found best, and I wish I could show you better on this, but this is a different stitch pattern than just a regular double crochet. I was hoping to grab this hat and show you, but it's not going to work because it's just the stitches are different where you connect. What I found best is Sarah Zimmerman's Repeat Crafter Me website. She has fantastic hat patterns, and they're all really super cute with little characters, puppies, bunnies, sheep, lots and lots and lots and lots of patterns. And she has some patterns that she uses a lot for a double crochet hat and a half double crochet hat. And a very basic formula for both of them. They're both a little different on her increases, but they're worked in the round, not continuous in the round, but you start from the top of the hat, work down, and you start by doing an increase. First you do 2 double crochets in each stitch after you do your magic loop, and then you do 2 double crochets in one stitch, 1 double crochet in the next, and go around, and then you build up to the next until you get to the size you need, and then you just double crochet all around. I guess I'll start with the double crochet hat. So I was getting bumps when I started doing some of these hats, and what I found was doing a little bit opposite from her directions, but still the same count, starting your next row. So you do your 1 row, so you did 2 double crochets in all of your stitches. You slip stitch them together. You chain 2, and in the same stitch, start with 2 double crochets again, not just the single crochet. Her pattern will say 1 double crochet in the first stitch and then 2 double crochets. I don't know why this works, but starting with the 2 double crochets in that first stitch helped make the material lay flat. So on your increase rounds, you start with your chain 2. Don't count that as a stitch at all. Chain 2, then 2 double crochets in that first stitch, and then follow the pattern with how many single double crochets in the following stitches for whatever row you're on. And when you're done with your increases and you've gotten to your regular round, you still slip stitch together to end the round you're working on, chain 2, and double crochet in the same stitch as your chain. And then, so your double crochet doesn't count as a stitch, that's just a ladder to get you up. Don't count it. still double crochet in that stitch, double crochet in every stitch all the way around, and slip stitch at the end. Now you also have to watch when you get to that last stitch, watch that you're not double crocheting in that chain stitch at all. You want to make sure that you're ending with the last stitch in your round, and that's, so you just have to kind of read your crochet, and that will help it to lay flat and not buckle or pull because you're too far away or you have too many stitches in that area. I hope that helps. I will try and put a video in, maybe right here. Pause. So you can see me actually working the stitches. I hope that helps. If you need more information, please let me know, and I can try and help anyone that was a little confusing for. So I'm actually going to pause the video just so when I edit, I can pop it right in. Hey everyone. I wanted to show you what I was talking about when we're working in the round to have a seamless join and not getting any bumps in our crochet when we're working on hats. So I'm working an increased round, and what I talked about at the end of my little video there was that the very last stitch, you want to make sure that you're working in the last stitch and not in this join stitch, which is your slip stitch. So I'm going to work the last 2 stitches of this round. Sorry if I'm wiggling. And then you can see it should be fairly snug. So I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch, and I have my nice flat, and there's no, it's curving because this is a, you know, the crown of a hat, but there's no bump. It's smooth all around, and as you can see, you don't really see this chain stitch, and you still worked your 2 double crochets or however many stitches the pattern calls for. And in this case, because I'm increasing, I'm doing my 2 double crochets in the first stitch instead of the second stitch, which or in Sarah's patterns. So I'm going to go up to the next row, do my 2 chains to get my height, and then this doesn't count as a stitch. And this is the chain, and this is the very first stitch. I'm going to work in here, my 2 stitches. So that will have me ending on just 1 double crochet in that last stitch, but this will join up very nicely and then continue the pattern around into the double crochet, and it will go all the way around. So when I come back again, I would suggest, this is my last stitch. This right here is my join. This is my last stitch. I will do my 1 double crochet, because that's what the pattern for this row is. 2 double crochets and then 1 double crochet. 2 double crochets and 1 double crochet all the way around. Finish my 1 double crochet in this last stitch, slip stitching up here to join, and then going vertical again. And remember that your chain, whether the pattern tells you to or not, is not counted as a stitch. I found it helps the join better, and it helps for not bumping and pulling in your finished product. So you should have a nice, smooth, flat transition. I hope that helps. Boop. Okay, I'm back. So the second question I got was from a high school friend who, not necessarily crochet relating, but she has tried to knit in the past, and it didn't come out the way she wanted it to, and she kind of walked away from it. So we were just chatting back and forth, and I told her if she ever needed any help, I'd be more than happy to give her some advice or help. And she said what she found was that when she was knitting her stitches, they came out very, very tight, and it wasn't fun. So without seeing what she was doing, and I know this was a few years ago, so it might have been a little hard to get too far into for someone who was just new and didn't enjoy it and then just put it down. But if you're knitting and you're new to knitting and it's coming out too tight, my first recommendation would be to go up 1 needle size, maybe 2, And always do a little swatch, especially when you're doing a project for the very first time. I know this is one of those do as I say, not as I do. Like me, that just cast on a whole blanket and then was like, oh, I don't like this. Now I have to unravel the whole thing and redo it because I didn't swatch. But swatch and get your gauge. And if you feel that you're a tight knitter, or your knitting is tight, that's going to help loosen up the overall fabric by going up a needle. I find often that the gauge, let's see, I just have a ball of yarn here. Each yarn will give you recommendation to use on size 1 to size 3 needles. Some more commercial yarns have just a set box. How do I not have one ball of commercial yarn near me? Oh, I do. We'll have a recommended needle and crochet hook for this weight yarn. On most commercial balls will have that. Now, that being said, I often find that that's not the right needle or hook for my gauge or for that project. Even blankets to hats to, those are what I do the most, blankets to hats to socks even. Everybody's gauge is a little different, and what's comfortable and what fabric is going to look right to you is going to be different. So don't be afraid to change the needle or the hook size till you get the either gauge you're shooting for or the look you're shooting for, because especially with like a blanket, you don't necessarily need a specific gauge unless you're making a very specific size blanket. But then again, swatching is the only way you're going to find out how many stitches in this pattern after you find your hook that you like or your needle are going to make the amount of fabric that you need. So don't be afraid to try. Go up or down if you feel your project is too tight or too loose. And also remember, especially with knitting, the first row after you cast on is going to be really hard, and it's going to be really tight because the cast on row tends to be tight and doesn't have a lot of give. So if you can get through the first or second row, then you'll really see what your knitting is going to open up and look like. And you'll be able to see if it's still very tight or if it was just the beginning, getting past those first cast on stitches. In crochet, if you're starting a project and your edge is feeling very tight, say you're doing a blanket and you don't want it to be kind of tight pinched from a chain on one end, you can do your chain up a hook or 2 sizes bigger, and then that will give you, and then go down for the first row pattern, for the rest of your pattern. That will help give you a looser edge on your start edge. And also you can try the foundation, chain-free foundationless, I've talked about it before. What? Chain-free foundation stitch, and that's another one that you can Google or look up on YouTube. There's some great tutorials. The Moogly blog has a great YouTube video on how to do that, and the different stitches in a single, half double, and a double crochet to start with your project. And it does give a little bit looser edge for your cast on. I do like that one a lot when I'm doing blankets. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much for putting some questions out there and for asking me for some advice. I don't know that I'm the end all of all advice, but I think I do have some knowledge, and I'd love to share it when I can. So there we go. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is socks. Socks. So last episode was the sock inquisition. We're looking for the elusive negative ease. I wanted to know how everybody's socks fit, what your favorite toes, heels, cuffs were, counts versus shoe size, and a lot of you have answered. I have left the sock thread open. I'm going to leave it open because I want people to continue to be able to share your sock experiences, favorite sock patterns. Someone was nice enough to put a couple sock books on there. One of them was the one I checked out of the library and returned because it was due back before I really got a chance to go through it. So I think I need to go back and get the books again. But that thread is open. I'll leave that open on the Ravelry group. And when we get another 10, 15, 20 entries, if more people want to add in to what's already there, I'll draw another prize in a month or so. So I'm going to leave that open. We'll have an ongoing sock discussion. And we'll keep that going. But for right now, I'm going to pull a name. We had 10 people leave me messages for the Sock Inquisition and let me know what they like, whether they were new or not, what they've tried, books they like, patterns they like, and I'm going to share some of that information with you in just a second. I took lots of notes. So we had 10 names, and this is I upped my game from the plastic Tupperware container. This little bowl my brother made back in high school. So let's pull a name, and that was a trumpet fanfare. And Boston Mama 3, that is Lori. You have won for sharing your sock knowledge. Lori was nice enough to share with me a little bit about the fit of her sock, and that she likes to do a Flegel heel, which I have never heard of the Flegel heel, and she shared a link, and it's on the in the group. It's, if you go under Boston Mama 3, she has a link to the pattern on how to do a Flegel heel. So that is something that I will add to my list of heels to look into. So Miss Lori, I have some goodies here, and I might, you know, add some tea and a couple of things in there. So you are getting a, a measuring tape, a digital row counter, a sheepy stitch marker charm, and one of these super cool little tools for picking up stitches when you're knitting. It's got a crochet hook on one end and a pointy hook on the other end, and these are all from my good friend Rob at Coveted Yarn in Gloucester, and these are Mick Porter Farms charms, and you can find more from mickporterfarms.com or over at covetedyarn.com. They have tons and tons and tons of notions and goodies to help you with all of your projects. So thank you, Rob, for sharing this. Lori, I hope you love your fancy plastic bag that this will be heading out to. So congratulations. And again, I'm going to leave that open. Everyone that has already put their name in, you will be entered again as long as this stays open. I'm just going to keep the one thread open. We'll pull names, and everyone will get a chance to possibly win another prize down the road. So, yay! So, what I've learned and what I've been doing about my socks. And please forgive me if I hopefully won't be coughing again like last time, but that cough is still with me. It's in my chest. So, what I did first, I talked with my good friends Robin and Mary when we were on our coffee date a few weeks back, and I was talking about the socks and my questions, and asked them how they wash their socks. And I think I said this last time, that Robin likes to wash, hand wash and dry and block her socks, and she does like a little bit looser fit. They're more of bedtime socks for her. Mary said she likes to throw hers right in the wash, so she tends to look for superwash wool. When she's making her socks, they go in the wash and in the dryer. So I took my very first socks that I made, my Time Traveler socks out of Felici, and I threw caution to the wind and threw them in the washing machine. I put them in a garment bag. I did a gentle cycle, and then I dried them in the garment bag on a low heat. Excuse me. Now that I said about coughing, I'm going to be a mess. Low heat in the dryer. And it did tighten them up. They have a much better much better negative, well, I don't know if it's negative ease, but they see them stretch and they go right back. So they're a little stiffer now. They're not as soft and fluffy as they first were when I first knit them and washed them and just blocked them without putting them in the dryer. So I don't know if felting's the right word. The yarn has definitely tightened up on itself. They still fit nice. They fit a little better actually, and but they're a little bit stiffer. I mean, they're still very flexible, but just not as soft as before. So it was interesting. I don't know that I'd put all of my socks in the wash and dryer yet, but it doesn't bother me. These are kind of my around the house socks. They're getting filthy. I just washed these and they're still like around the house socks now. So these are kind of my experiment socks, and that's been going pretty good. The next thing I did was we talked about blocking socks. So these are my Hermione's Everyday socks, and I just washed these, and this time I didn't put them on the blockers to dry. I just hung them up, and I'm very happy with the way the cuffs are now. Before, when I had blocked them, they blocked out and were stretched, and now they have more of their ribbing effect back. So I did like that. I just was kind of wanting, but it's still a little loose, and I don't know if this is where I'm still questioning. Both socks have been done on 64 stitches. The first sock was on a 1.5. This sock was on a size 1, US 1. So it's still a little loose. It does fit to my foot. It's not loose when I just put it on. It's not loose, but it's still not quite there on the snug that I'm looking for. But I think not putting them in the blocker has, kept them a little tighter than when I had blocked them. They felt loose right away. So the places that I am feeling that they're loose are kind of on the back of the ankle, because my leg does get wider, but these did slide down, and a bit here on the foot. I have a very wide top part of my foot across my width of my foot. No, my feet are dirty. I was going to show them to you, but I won't. Ooh, I'll put my socks on and then I'll show them to you so you don't have to see my dirty feet. So, as you can see, right here is very wide on my foot. So, right now these are feeling really good. Right here is loose on me already. And a little bit in here, I kind of feel like this is where I want a little more snugness. So, that's what I'm going to be working on. But just not drying these on the blockers made a huge difference. So if your socks are off by just a little bit and you're drying them on the blockers, that might be something to try. And that's just, advice from a couple of veteran knitters and trial and error here with a couple pairs of socks. So, some of the other advice that I got, let me bring my notes out because I want to share everything. Okay. So, okay, one of the things Kirsten added on the post, Kirsten is, she's got a little podcast, Knitting a Love Song, and she's been knitting socks for a while also. She mentioned that finding your gauge, and a lot of people brought this up too. Here's a novel idea: find your gauge and then measure your foot. Right? I do it with everything else. Why did I not start with this with my socks? Because I jumped into it and just wanted to go. So like I think a lot of us do. But finding your gauge, and I am 9 stitches to an inch, measuring the widest part of your foot, and then taking an inch away or 2 inches away and taking your count on gauges per inches. So the widest part of my foot is 9 inches. And at 9 stitches per inch, that puts me at, doing the, ready? 81. So that didn't work. So if I take away 2 though, and put it on 7 stitches per inch, that puts me down to 63. Like that trick? Does anyone else know that trick when you time in by 9? So at 63 is where I already am. So I think I'm gonna really, I will go down to 60 for my next sock and just try it. If it's too tight, it's too tight. But I'm hoping that 60 might be my magic number. So yay! But, and I'm not sure I measured the part, like where exactly I'm supposed to be measuring. Mina said over your instep, which put me at 9.5, which was even bigger than my counts were way higher. So trying to do that trick on a sock, I guess, is a little tricky because are you doing it on your ankle, are you doing it on your foot? But I still think I'm going to go down to 60 and start there for the next sock. Some other awesome advice I was given was stop jumping around between yarns and patterns. A pair of socks that I showed you that I'm doing the yarn for my son's socks is a non-woolen, it's a non-worsted weight superwash material. So I can't get gauge off of that for myself because I'm not using the same material. So my plan now is to stop jumping around on materials. I'm going to use superwash merino with the nylon on my socks for at least the next few pairs, and I'm going to do no more pattern socks right now, just vanilla until I find my vanilla fit. Right? Right? This is all like someone else telling you that. It's like, oh my God, of course. Why didn't I think of that myself? But thank you. Thank you all for saying these things out loud and writing them down because I want you all to know, even though other people haven't written in the group, other people have thanked me and they're enjoying reading what we're all writing and they're getting some great advice from all of us. So thank you so much for sharing this. And there's a couple other things that I will add into the group that are in my notes right now that I've found, so we can continue sharing and finding these perfect fitting socks. So that was also a fantastic add. Let's see. Gauge. Okay, so heels that people have said that they love. The Flegel heel, the Kirby Werby heel, the German short row, the OMG, the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and Vanilla is the New Black. That is a heel that Julia on Happy Knitting Podcast, she tried a while back and she said she really liked it. And it's kind of a ribbed heel. You do need to do it on a long sock because part of the technique goes up the back of your leg. But that was one of the other heels. And of course for cuffs, some people just like the 2x2. A lot of people said they like the 1x1. And Tiki Knits on Instagram said that she does an Eastern pearl when she does her cuff. Now I haven't looked up this yet, but I know a lot of people like the twisted rib. So I'm curious to see if those are similar in technique, an Eastern pearl and the twisted rib. So that's what I had for cuffs and heels. Didn't get a lot on the toes. I know there's a rounded toe and there's just a regular triangle wedge toe. Toes aren't my problem, so I guess that'll just be trial and error as I go. I am trying to do a different heel, different toe to see which one fits best. And okay, so those were the notes that I had so far. But after all of this sock hunting has happened, Mina Phillips talks about her box of socks last week. And she also recommends, just like Kirsten did, measuring your foot, taking your gauge, and adjusting your stitches from your gauge. Going down possibly 1 inch to 2 inches on what your gauge is to get that snug fitting sock. The other thing that gave me so much hope is that Mina showed socks that she knit at the beginning of 2016 and at the end of 2016. And for a woman who knit, I believe 90 socks last year, Mina, I think you said 90 or in the 90s. Her gauge changed from January to December, and she adjusted with it as she was noticing it, but she showed a pair of socks, you know, the socks side by side. They were much tighter, looser, bigger. Her first socks were very big. I think her knitting has gotten tighter, I think she said. So her sock at the end of the year was a lot smaller. But she also had noticed that her socks were getting looser, so she went down on her count. So I find that heartening because this is the nature of knitting socks. That your stitches, your gauge is going to change. You're going to find different fit, obviously, with materials and patterns. And Mina Phillips, who knit 90 pairs of socks, had 2 different size socks at over 12 months. So things are going to be constantly changing, and just being aware of those changes will help us find our best fitting sock. And that made me happy that I might be at the beginning of my sock journey, but being aware now, only 3 pairs in, that I want to make these changes, and making them now and not being like, oh, well, I'm going to try it again and see how it works. I'm going to try and adjust it next time and see how that works. So I'm not knitting 10 pairs of socks before I feel, okay, this isn't working. Does that make sense? I think so. The other thing that Mina had said was to help with the 2 areas that seemed, I think they're my trouble areas, and I think they might be trouble areas with a lot of people, because she brought it up, was finding looseness on the ankle side in the back and the ankle area of your sock, which is where my socks are loose, and also if you're finding them really loose around the arch of the foot. So what she recommended was to, on your ankle, add in ribbing or slip stitch, like I have partridge idea, but in a slip stitch rib on the back of your ankle to help cinch that in. And that's what made me think of the Vanilla is the New Black pattern that Julia used, because that's essentially, I believe, what it is a ribbed heel that goes up at your back, and I believe it comes like to a triangle, so it tight, you know, has more ribbing around your ankle and then lessens as it goes up. So I want to look into that. But also, she said, around the arch of your foot, the circumference of your foot, where like a sports sock would have that extra elastic, to do ribbing around there so it would help cinch it in around the arch of your foot. Brilliant. Brilliant. So those are 2 things that I'm going to keep in mind going forward. I am going to do just a vanilla sock, toe up, in a worsted superwash merino for the going forward, and I'm going to get it going over my foot on a 60 count, see how it feels, and go from there. And if I have to pull back, I'll pull back. I'm not going to do the whole sock again and then be not happy with it later. So these are going to be some real paying attention to the fit and knitting as I go on my next pair of socks. So, and I'm going to put off for a little bit working with my 9-inch circulars, because I know Kay from the Bakery Bears has said she was having trouble a while back with the fit of Dan's socks all of a sudden, and she couldn't figure out why, and then it clicked. She started using a different type of knitting method. I think she was using magic loop or DPNs or a 9-inch, and one versus the other when she knits is way tighter. Her gauge is so much tighter on one particular like say the magic loop versus on her DPNs. She's looser on her DPNs, and she had switched the style of needle she was using on Dan's socks, and her gauge was off, like dramatically. So I'm going to just stick with my magic loop for now before I start playing with other techniques. I'm going to go simple, I'm going to go vanilla, and I'm going to find my count and then add in for variables. So I hope that helps everybody. The group is going to stay up. Please continue to add what you found, what works for you, what you like, what you don't like, any more books or patterns that you like, any reviews of anything. If you're new to sock knitting, please just stop in and say hello and share with us how it's going and what you've tried. If you're a veteran, please share, you know, over the years what your best fit is, and maybe even your count. I think I'm always curious to see what everyone's cast on is compared to what their shoe size is, and I am a size 8. I go from an 8 to a 9 after I had the boys. My feet are weird now. So around size 8, size 9, and I'm finding possibly, you know, 64 is a okay fit. Okay? Yes, okay, I'm back. My phone is full. So I apologize that the quality of the video has gone down a little bit, but I'm on my iPad now because I am not going to fight with my phone. I'm in a groove and I want to finish this podcast. While I'm in this awesome groove, I have everything right here set up. So I was finishing up about my socks. I think I chatted enough about that. If I missed out something, I'm sorry that I was in mid-thought, and now it's gone. So it's gone. But I have a couple more things that I wanted to show you all and talk about quickly. 2 things that are going to be next on my radar, because I do want to do some gift knitting this year. I know there's a lot of selfish things that I would like to knit, and I don't want to put them off too far, but a few things are coming up, and I want to take advantage of this time of the year and work on them and finish things up, because I have a couple of things that I want to make for some special people. And first thing is I want to finish my sister Elizabeth's blanket. She asked for this a while ago, and I was hoping that maybe I would have had it done for her 1-year wedding anniversary, and it didn't happen. But this is a design that I adapted. I'll put it in the show notes. It's under Lily's blanket in my show notes. That is a fan or shell pattern, and it overlaps a little bit. So it was originally a skirt or a bag on the YouTube video. I have all of that linked in the notes there where to find this. And I had to adapt it so that it will lay flat as a blanket, because she found this pattern and was like, hey, can you make me a blanket? So this is how far I got started. I had worked out all the math and everything to do the corners so they will lay straight as I go up the side, and then I can add a stabilizing half double crochet edge on that. But this is going to be a 4x6, and her birthday is in July, and I would like to finish this and have this for her birthday this year. So this is going to be coming out again, and I'm going to start working on that. Got to finish up this baby set that I'm working on, and then this will be my crochet project. I do have the Little Mermaid blanket and a blanket for my new niece or nephew that's coming that will also be on my radar. But the baby is, I believe, due at the end of the summer, so I have a little bit of time for that one. And the mermaid tail shouldn't be too big of a project because it's only for a toddler and not a full-sized, 4x6 blanket. So this is going to be one of my commitments that I'm making next. The other one is for my mother-in-law. This will be my first shawl, and this is going to be my knitting project besides my little socks. I will cast on my socks when I'm done with Sean's my son's socks. I'm going to cast on my own socks, and I will have a sock going. I'd like to have a sock going, a knitting project, and a crochet project, because I can do them at different times during the day. I can crochet during the day when the kids are around, because if I drop the hook or pull out a stitch, I can very easily fix it, whereas if I drop the needles or pull out a row or a stitch on the knitting, my anxiety level goes up when the boys are like running around, and I'm trying to be like, nobody move, nobody move, nobody move, and you're trying to fish out a little stitch. So I tend to do that at night on my downtime. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start on my mother-in-law's shawl. This is the yarn I got for her. It's called Roses at Sunset. Unfortunately, it's a discontinued colorway from Kiwi Pop, but she does have another color that's fairly similar. She hand paints all of her yarns, and she uses, this is her fingering weight, and it's a superwash merino with 60% and 30% bamboo and 10% nylon. But this is going to be a shawl. It's called the Show Me Yours shawl, or Show Me, I think it's Show Me Yours shawl, and I'll make sure that's in the notes too. I know I have it linked a few episodes a while ago. But this is going to be for her. The yarn, I fell in love with it. My mother-in-law walks every day at sunset, and her favorite flower is roses. So roses at sunset, yes, had to happen. So this is going to be my knitting project that I'll be working on. I'd like to try and finish this for Mother's Day. Fingers crossed, because her birthday was last week. So that didn't happen, and I don't want to make her wait until Christmas, and I do realize that we're in the South, and by Mother's Day it's going to be warm already, but I would like to get this to her and let her and have her have it and be able to enjoy it. So this is going to be my knitting project, the blanket will be my crochet project, and then I will have a sock on the go. So that's what I want to focus on, and there are a few more gift knits that I would like to do also, crochet and knitting throughout the year. So I need to kind of plan for, I'm going to get these going first. I do want to work on my own Ohm shawl, which I have the yarn for, and that's my selfish knit for the year, and it's going to be a big one. And I'm very excited. So I do want to factor that in and have some fun, lots of fun, lots of big projects. I don't do small projects, I guess. I do big projects. And last year, I think when I started, I was doing these big giant blankets. And I'm hoping to not do that many big giant blankets again. And here I find myself working on, I have 3 blankets in the works already, or in the pipeline, ready to go. My goodness. And the last thing that I've been doing, which has been taking up most of my time, has been sewing. We did a me and Kayleen did a collaboration. She is Little Bean Crochet back at Christmas, and that went fantastic. Thank you all so much for everybody that supported both of us, and please know that you are supporting 2 stay-at-home moms that are working to help support their families when you do that. So thank you so much. It means the world to us. I decided to do a collaboration with my friend Robin down here in New Orleans, and that went out a few weeks ago. Robin is in college, and she is a beautiful yarn dyer, and she is the dyer behind Teeny Button Studios. So we did a early spring Valentine's Day bag with roses and gold on it, and she did a matching yarn, which was ridiculously adorable. And that colorway was Mint Tea Rose. And she is still dyeing up just the yarn, and I will have more of the just the bags in my shop, hopefully in a week. I've been trying to finish up all that. We got all of those orders out, and thank you again for everybody who supported us. It's incredible, and I hope you all enjoy the yarn and the bags, and please tag us all on Instagram with whatever project you're working on and what you're doing when you use either of those. That would be great. I'd love to see them. I'm so happy that everyone has said that they are awesome, and they really, really are enjoying them. And that being said, Kayleen and I are up for round 2 of doing another collaboration. And this will be a bit bigger one, and it's taking us a little bit longer to get off the ground than we thought, but it's coming. Of course, with the kids and everything, my sewing time is limited. Like my knitting, I can't sew out in the open with the boys, so I've been sewing at night. So therefore, my knitting and other things have been pushed around and suffered, but suffering for my art. So I'm going to show you a sneak peek of what we're working on, and also let you know that I will have just some new fabrics and single bags coming up into my shop over the next week or so. My in-laws are coming for Grandparents' Day next week, and the spare room is my craft room, and it's also the guest room, so my sewing machine will be down for a couple days, so I'm trying to do as much as I can before they get here. But Kayleen and I are working on another collaboration, and this one is going to be feathers. I think I showed you the fabric maybe last time, or maybe a quick snapshot on Instagram. This will be a sock size bag. It's got a mint, I'm so sorry that the video quality is a little poorer now, but it's got a mint on the inside, these gorgeous corals, pinks, mints, teals, navy, burnt umber, how's that for a word, burnt umber, colors in the bag. It's got a navy pull, and this will very easily fit a sock project. This is the same size as the bag that I keep my socks in that I've been doing before. So the kit is going to include one of the bags. It's going to include a needle cozy, and the feathers on these will all be different. So I think this will fit up to a size 6-inch needle. So hopefully most needles. And from me, the last little bit will be coming. My sister made these for us. Everyone will get a feathered stitch marker going with the kit. And that's what's going to be coming on my side. Kayleen is working on self-striping yarn. So this is new to her, doing self-striping, and she is working on getting the stripe count correct. So you know, if you knit 54 stitches, if you knit 60 stitches, you're still going to get so many rows of the colors, because she has a pattern in mind and she's working out the formula, and she's having so much fun with it. And she also got a new knitting machine, which I am ridiculously jealous of, because she can knit a whole sock in about 2 hours, I think. Just every turn is a whole row. So she's been having a blast with her knitting machine, but it's also given her the speed to see, I just dyed this up, what is it going to look like, and how is it going to stripe over how many stitches. She can adjust the stitch count. So that was really cool. So I'm still sewing. She is still dyeing and scheming, and this will be coming out to you hopefully within the next couple of weeks. We're a little bit behind on what we thought. We'd like to be able to get them out, but it's okay. They will still be available, and we'll give you some more notice when it's getting closer for them to be up and available for everybody. And I think that's it. I will be having some more just single bags in my shop. I have hopefully going to do some more medium-sized bags, and what else? Oh, and I have another secret collaboration in the works, but we're still picking fabrics, so I won't show you that next. But I'm hoping to do a collaboration with a different crafty person each month. So that's my plan. And help support other beautiful women out there, and men, but help support other beautiful crafters out there that are hand making such amazing things. So I think that's everything I have to talk about today. That's everything. There's nothing left around me. So I think that's everything. But a little bit longer podcast today. I hope you all don't mind. Super excited to have gotten a podcast today. All of my information will be down below for where you can find me on social media. And I think on my next podcast will be hopefully right around Valentine's Day, but also we're getting very close to Mardi Gras. I am a Yankee living in the South, so Mardi Gras, I enjoy it. I don't know all the history behind it. The girls over at the Cherry Pearls podcast have been doing little snippets of the Mardi Gras history in all of their podcasts this past month. They podcast every Friday. So if anyone's looking for a little history. But on the next episode, I will try and show you some of my favorite throws that I've caught over the years. And I will try and give you a little bit of history and a little bit of something besides the magic that is Mardi Gras down here in New Orleans. So I hope you're all looking forward to that. And have a wonderful week, wonderful weekend. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Bye.